Alright, what's going on, guys? It is your boy TKD123 here, back here in PlayStation Source, and I was just watching Gamescom. You can check out the reaction stream on youtube.com/joyclicks. Then go check out that. But we have been clamoring for a back button solution on the PlayStation 5 DualSense controller or any type of Pro controller thing, right? We've gotten patents that we've covered here on the channel before in the past. We've had Sony directly releasing the DualShock 4 back button attachment for the PS4 that brought back buttons to that controller. And we've been just wondering, hey, will they ever do a direct comparison to the Elite controller that the Xbox has? And it looks like we got our answer here on Gamescom opening night live with the PlayStation 5 DualSense Edge Pro controller. So it is official. The link below is in the description for the blog post if you want to read along with us. We're going to go through bit by bit and just break down what is exactly in this PS5 DualSense Edge controller, because I'm definitely interested in this controller. But before we get to all that, if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like on the video as well as hit subscribe to PlayStation Source to keep up with the latest and greatest in PlayStation. So first up here, let's go over the Ultra-Customizable control section here. You can make the DualSense Edge wireless controller uniquely yours by remapping or deactivating specific button inputs and fine-tuning your aim by adjusting stick sensitivity and dead zones. In addition, each trigger is adjustable with options to tailor travel distance and dead zones to your preference. For example, you can manually reduce travel distance of the triggers for fast inputs in competitive FPS games, or reduce the dead zones for precise throttle control in racing games. This is going to be huge for those that really like the short travel distance from the trigger to pull it, to be able to get shots off faster when every second counts in a multiplayer arena. It's a very popular feature with other Pro controllers on the market, and really cool to see that Sony is finally doing it on their own terms. But I do have to really ask, like, what happens with adaptive trigger things, like with Returnal, right? Like, how is that going to work where, like, that travel distance is necessary because the triggers adapt on the fly? And so I'm very curious to see how that all works. Maybe those are just completely disabled when you're using this controller and you have the different travel distance for the trigger initiated. I guess we'll have to see when the full controller comes out, but I am curious to see how they actually deal with that with those adaptive triggers in games. Next up, a really cool feature coming to this controller is the ability to save multiple control profiles. Once you found your ideal control settings, you can save them to unique profiles and swap between them on the fly. With the DualSense Edge wireless controller, you'll always have your preferred controls for your games ready to go, whether you're facing Norse gods and monsters in God of War Ragnarok or rival players in online battle arena. This is a really cool stuff here because you're going to be able to have your control set for Call of Duty, for a more fast-paced, more twitchy experience where you're going to need to be able to shoot and move at the same time and all that, or you can have just a preferred layout for a single player game like God of War, how they cite here as well. So really cool to see that there. You're going to be able to have multiple control profiles for your controller. Now we got some new stuff here called the on-controller user interface. The dedicated FN button allows you to easily adjust your setup while staying focused on the in-game action. You can quickly swap between your preset control profiles, adjust game volume and chat balance, and access the controller profile settings menu to set up and test new control iterations while in game. I am very curious to see how they implement this whole thing into the PS5 UI. I'm assuming that is going to be where if you hit the FN button, it pulls up the control center, and maybe there is a card that is tied to your Pro Edge controller where you can make those adjustments and do those control profile swaps and everything and all that. That's my assumption, right? But really cool, and really want to see how that all turns out. And what's odd enough is that it looks like there's two FN buttons, like one on each side. Maybe that's just a stylistic choice, or maybe like one half of the FN button on one side controls the presets, the other one does volume. I'm not sure really how they're gonna break it up there, but I just feel like it might just look better with two buttons. That's just my guess, but what do you think in the comments below? Maybe we can map certain programs to each FN button. They didn't say that, but maybe that's what they're going with. Let me know down below what you guys think about those FN buttons and their placement. Next up here, we have changeable stick caps and back buttons. 3 types of swappable stick caps: standard, high dome, and low dome, help you stay comfortable in game while maintaining grip and stability. The 2 swappable sets of back buttons, half dome and lever, can be configured to be any other input, putting more essential controls at your fingertips. Not much to say there. Really cool that you'll be able to swap out the caps of the actual sticks and everything, and they show in the video trailer that you're gonna pull out that whole analog stick type of component out of the actual controller, controller when you want to swap them and stuff like that. So really cool to see that there as well. And the ability for your back buttons to not only just be the paddles, but if you want, they can be levers as well and stuff like that. So really cool to see the amount of ways that you can, really fine tune this controller to what you want it to feel like on the sticks. And so next up here, speaking of sticks, we have replaceable stick modules. Play longer with the ability to fully replace each individual stick module on the controller. So is this how they're going to address stick drift, where if you get stick drift, you can just swap out the whole module, right? I mean that's probably not the intent, right, guys? Like, cause you don't need to remove the whole like stick module to be able to switch the stick caps, right? Like the trailer shows that you can pull off those stick caps no problem, right? But the actual module, is that to address any concerns if like it gets broken or it gets stick drift and stuff like that? Is that what they're going with here? Because I'm not really seeing the benefit of switching out the whole stick module on the controller. But let me know your thoughts, guys. How you feel about that? What do you think that's all about? Because for me, I kind of don't know why you would want to switch out the module other than if it would be broken. And lastly, of course, we have the DualSense features that you would come to expect, with the DualSense Edge wireless controller retaining the signature comfort and immersive experience of the DualSense wireless controller when playing supported games, including haptic feedback, adaptive triggers, built-in microphones, motion controls, and more as well. Those were definitely there to be expected, not a huge surprise there. But the DualSense Edge controller will also come with a braided USB Type-C cable, which also uses a connector housing to lock into the controller, so it's much less likely to slip out at a crucial moment. The included carrying case as well in this, so this will come with a carrying case, will keep your wireless controller and components together in one organized place. That will also allow you to charge the controller via USB connection while it's stored in the case as well. So pretty cool stuff there. We have no visual on what the case looks like, but really cool that you'll be able to keep it in your case and charge it while it's in the case, in case you want to really have it for very select and very specific instances. And lastly here, before we get to the final thoughts about this controller from your boy here, we do have a quote from the art director that led up the controller's design process. Quote, "The opportunity to create the DualSense Edge wireless controller was a dream come true for our team. We wanted to build on the legacy of iconic PlayStation controllers by creating a controller that empowers players to experiment and personalize elements based on their own unique playstyle, whether they are a competitive gamer or someone who just enjoys having more options to customize their play. The DualSense Edge wireless controller also features a number of thoughtful design touches that we hope players will enjoy, including a distinct DualSense controller-inspired black and white color scheme and a unique PlayStation shapes pattern on the touchpad and the trigger surfaces. We are thankful to many gamers and professional esports players and developers who help provide feedback on the controller's design." They end off here with saying that they look forward to sharing more details about the DualSense Edge controller in the coming months ahead. That does include a launch time and as well as, I'm assuming, a price point and a bunch of other things as well with this controller. So that is pretty much all the info we got here. Overall, we can definitely see how this definitely does speak to the esports player as well as someone that just really wants to have a competitive edge at home. And overall, I mean, this all sounds really great and dandy, but once again, like when they bring up things like it includes a carrying case, even little things like it includes a USB braided cable and stuff like that, those all add to the costs of this controller, and I'm very curious to see how this is actually going to go down in terms of price, right? Like I'm thinking this might be upwards of 120, 150, I think the Elite 2 controller is like $200, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, hey, why not match it? You know what I'm saying? But we'll see when that all comes out. But overall, I am definitely buying this solely because of those back buttons. I am a huge fan and huge believer of the back buttons. Very much really want those in my controllers, so definitely excited to see those return here with the DualSense via the DualSense Edge controller. And also a little small thing too, I love the back of the controller, how there's a little bit of like a black color scheme continuation on the back of the controller, and big shout out to the sacred symbols on the touchpad. I think that is a very nice touch and a little bit of a callback to the Vita. You know what I'm saying? All my Vita fans out there, was good. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to that. And lastly here, just to quickly say, shout out to the glossy finish on the front. Overall, I think this looks like a really great controller and everything, and definitely does still retain the DualSense design, but we will have to see about the price and launch time for this controller at a later date. But down below, guys, what are your thoughts? Will you be getting the DualSense Edge controller? Are you going to wait until we see a price? What do you guys think about the ability to swap out the entire stick module? Maybe that is, you know, to have a cost-saving thing where if you do get stick drift or those sticks do break, you can easily swap those modules for a low price. Maybe that is the actual intent. Down below, guys, what are your thoughts? And while you are down there, make sure to leave a like on the video, as well as stay subscribed to PlayStation Source to keep up with the latest and greatest in PlayStation. Down below, find links to our Discord, our Twitter, and of course our Anchor link that you can listen to our long form content in podcast format. Road to Part 1 is still going. We got episode 5 coming out on Sunday. Definitely get in tune for that. Like the video if you enjoyed it, as well as stay subscribed to PlayStation Source to keep up with the latest and greatest in PlayStation. Thank you all for watching, and as always, greatness awaits.